Belafonte was the third of four children born to Aaron Belafonte, a Jewish man, and Georgine Antoinette Hess, a Christian woman. Frida lived semi-openly as a lesbian and was an active member of the Dutch resistance during World War II. Frida's father was a well-known concert pianist and music instructor who encouraged his children to learn various musical instruments. Frida herself chose to learn cello.
I have been always very conscious of the fact that I was his favorite child. And the reason was probably because I was quite a bit like him. And I also was the only one that had enough musical talent so that he thought I would become a musician.
In 1920, Frida met Henriette Bozeman. They were inseparable and lived together for the next 7 years. In 1930, however, Frida married the Dutch flutist Johan Veldkamp. He had confessed his love to her and threatened suicide if she did not choose to marry him. When recalling this moment in her testimony, she rationalized this decision by saying that it was better that he continued to live. Unfortunately, this marriage drove a wedge between Frida and Henriette. While she remained married to Johan until 1936, Frida was still a romantic.
I had other friendships that filled my life. I'm very romantic, and I go overboard with what I do for people. It's no half measure, as far as I'm concerned.
In 1938, Frida became the first woman to conduct an orchestra in Europe, and eventually she conducted for the Amsterdam Concertbouw. After the Nazi invasion of the Netherlands in 1940, however, Jewish people were systematically excluded from public life. This includes the arts. Frida herself chose to voluntarily withdraw and dissolve her orchestra. It was at this time that she began to involve herself with the Dutch resistance. In November of 1941, she met Wilhelm Arendeus, a gay artist. Together with other resistance members, they established a fund to support artists who were unable to work due to the Nazi occupation. By early 1942, Dutch Jews' identification cards were required to have the J stamped on them, which created a market for forged documents. This is a niche that Frida soon filled. There were many close calls, but despite the risk, Frida felt that it was all worth it. When talking about all the effort that she had done in her life, she said that she had always helped people. They hadn't always been worth my effort, but the effort itself was worth it. The scale of the forgery work escalated, and soon the resistance group had distributed nearly 70,000 fake ID cards. This was a problem for the group, as the original cards held in the Dutch population registry in Amsterdam could easily be checked. Frida herself offered up a solution: bomb the building and destroy the originals. The group set about planning. It was decided that Wilhelm would lead the group of men planting the bombs. These men denied Frida an active role in the plot, instead relegating her to the sidelines. She recalled this with the quip that women could have brought in some of the explosions, some of the things that were not too heavy to carry. Frida watched from a rooftop nearby on March 27, 1943, as the bombs went off and destroyed nearly 800,000 ID cards. After the bombing, Frida and her fellow conspirators went underground to avoid being caught. With a short haircut and a three-piece suit that fit her to a T, Frida passed as a man for 3 months.
And I had to go to a barber shop and have a haircut. That was really a man's haircut. And I still remember the day I went there. And I had just made the effort to get this all straightened out, and I really looked pretty good. And I went out for the first time in my disguise. I went into the barber shop and took my hat off and put it on the hook. And the barber walks up to me and he said, "What do you want, sir? Shave or haircut?" And I said, "No, just haircut." And he didn't bat an eye. He gave me a haircut and I got my hat. And I was, for 3 months, I was disguised as a man, and very successfully so. And I passed my mother several times during that time, and she never recognized me.
Eventually, she escaped on foot to Switzerland, where she waited out the war. Her close friend Wilhelm, however, was not so successful. He was caught by the Nazis and executed for his involvement. His final request was for the world to know that homosexuals were not cowards. Frida never hid her sexuality and never felt less than or different than her heterosexual peers.
I've never been apologetic about what I am. I've always felt that I'm as good as the next one, and I never told anybody anything. I just lived my life.
This openness did unfortunately impact her career. In 1962, she lost her job at the Orange County Philharmonic Orchestra. She attributed this to gossip regarding her sexuality. Reflecting on it later in her life, she said that she'd had the most wonderful and romantic life. She followed it up with, "You make your own life, no one makes it for you." Frida passed away in 1995 at the age of 90.